Okay. So before the whole COVID thing,
Yeah.
I I didn't believe that anyone could be so evil. And I mean, friends of mine would talk about, oh, they're going to put chips in us. Oh, they're going to this poison. Oh, and this was a few years prior, and chemtrails and all that stuff. And I was like, you guys have to be crazy. Like, who would do that to us? Surely the world has learned its lesson since like the Holocaust and all of that, right?
Yeah.
And so I mean, I've got to tell you, I've never read the paper. I've never watched the news because I just have always found it so horrifying and depressing. And I've always thought, why don't we talk about the good news in the world as well? And I used to think, sorry about the phone ringing, I'm one of the rare people in the world that actually has a landline. Back to the whole news thing. So I used to think that, oh, it's sensational. They just want the viewers and all of that, da-da-da. But the more I come down this rabbit hole, the more I realize that it's all been part of this programming to depress us and scare us.
Yeah.
Because why would you tell good news if you wanted to keep people afraid?
Exactly.
Why would you?
Yeah.
So, anyways, I've just kind of decided I'm never reading a paper. I'm never watching the news except my kind of news, which is you. And
thank you.
I'm just going to do my best with this crazy social media that really the intent was for evil, but I'm trying to, from my little part of the world, make it for good. So I just always try to share good news, animal stories, music. And I don't know if you've listened to my other music, but I mean, I've got freedom songs, but most of the songs are about love and kindness.
Yes.
That's what we need, isn't it? I'll just first say that I'm a first generation Canadian. So I love talking to you, and I love making all my new friends in the UK, and I cannot wait till the day I can come down there and share some music. So first generation Canadian, my mom was from Wednesbury, and my dad is from Worthing. And my dad's family wasn't musical per se, but yet my dad and all of my uncles were very good at singing. And, whether they were singing Monty Python or something else around the campfire. But my dad loved country. My mom was Cliff Richard and ABBA, and my dad was country. And so as a very small child, like from my earliest rememberings, we would drive through the mountains to the Okanagan for holidays every year. And I would remember loving it because it was a 7 or 8 hour drive. And when Dad would play his songs, there I was, this little kid in the back seat singing along to all these heartbreaking songs in my little kid voice, and they'd laugh. Or they'd say, shut up! Because I'd sing so much. So I started singing really young, and if my brother ever happens to make it to one of my shows, because he was living in England for quite some time, I always dedicate Patsy Cline Crazy to him. Because he hates it, because I used to sing it over and over and over again, and there was one wall joining his room to mine, so it drove him insane.
Oh dear.
So that's where it started. And then I think I didn't start playing the guitar until my late 20s, to tell you the truth. I think 27. I was singing before that. I'd go sing with other bands or jams or things like that. For weddings or whatnot. But it wasn't until I started to play the guitar that I figured out how songs were really put together, and I started to write. So in 2000, I went to Nashville with the president of the Country Music Hall of Fame, and we did a little recording. I just released the single off of that for the first time electronically, which was bizarre, because if you'd have told me in 2000 that we'd be putting music out electronically, so that's Hearts and Memories. And then I started with my band called Rooster in a Hen House. That's 4 girls and 1 guy. And we played everywhere for all sorts of events, opening acts for big Canadian bands and playing at the Stampede for different events. And then just all the saloons and whatnot, excuse me, around Alberta. So it's been a really fun ride. And then 6.5 years ago, I had a brain injury, and the playing every weekend and playing with the band stopped because I couldn't understand why I couldn't play guitar and sing. Like, obviously my head really, really hurt. Mm-hmm. But I finally got assessed, and he told me I had stroke-like symptoms. So my right hand and foot were delayed.
Okay.
And I had a problem with my voice sticking and things like that when I was overloaded too, which still happens sometimes, but I figured out ways around it. And so anyways, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, I'm talking so much.
No, that's okay. How did your brain injury happen, by the way? If you don't mind.
Well, I've had quite a few. No, not at all. I've had quite a few in my life. So the more you have, I didn't know that they didn't heal. There's certain pathways in your brain that die. And so your brain tries to find new pathways to do the things that the old pathways did. So the more hits that you take, and I'm accident prone, so.
Oh, I see. Well, falling off horses and that sort of thing.
Well, actually, I was on the ground when this one happened. I have some big donkeys too, so his back comes to about here on me. He's quite a handsome fellow. And I was ground driving him, so that's where you have the reins behind him, and you're walking behind to get them used to you being on a cart. Mm-hmm. And the wind blew, and his red line blew out to the side, and he spooked. So he ran to the back of the house where the concrete is, the concrete septic lids. They stick up out of the ground about that far.
Oh yes. Yeah.
And as I was petting him and pulling his line in, he was fine. But the wind picked up again, and the back of my heel was up against this septic lid, so I couldn't back up. And he spun and went right between the two septic lids and bumped me. So I went straight back onto the concrete sidewalk. Hit right here.
Oh dear.
And later on, they found out with an MRI that I have staining here and some lesions in between. So basically, my brain kind of went.
Yeah.
Do you like the sound effect?
Yes. Yeah. Good sound effects. Yeah. Oh dear.
So that's what happened.
Yeah.
So, anyways, my therapist wanted me to tap on a table to a metronome to get my hand functioning better, and I said, "Well, that's kind of boring. Can't I use an instrument?" So we decided that my instruments would become my therapy.
Right.
Thank God for music.
So Linda, you first came on my radar, as it were, when you left some comments under some of my videos during the Canadian trucker protests at that sort of time. And one thing that struck me is you sent me a video that you did of yourself singing your Canadian trucker protest song, which I thought was fantastic. That's actually on the album that you sent me through. Yeah, Linda here, not only is she very talented musically, but she's awake, and she was fully on board supporting the Canadian trucker thing, as indeed I was, and many people over here were following it. I think people all around the world were following it because well, I don't need to tell you this, but Canada, of course, was one of the worst affected, one of the most tyrannical lockdown regimes, wasn't it? So what was it like living through that there?
It was hell, in a word. I mean, I'm out here. You froze for a minute there too, so it's probably my rural internet. I'm out here, kind of almost the base of the Rocky Mountains. So, and I can't drive since the brain injury. So, and my mom and my brother live one province over on Vancouver Island. So, my mom and my brother both had illnesses throughout that thing, and both were in a hospital at various times, and I couldn't go to them because I couldn't fly. I wasn't allowed to fly.
And we don't, yeah, we know the reason why as well, don't we? So.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I couldn't fly. I couldn't, I couldn't go to restaurants. I can't drive, but when I do get a ride somewhere, it's really nice to see people. I think I had the brain injury for a reason, to tell you the truth, because I've written more songs since the brain injury and more helpful songs, I think, what people need right now. So I feel like I have a purpose. I feel like I've been saved through that injury and put here to sing, to share messages of hope and love and kindness. So anyways, also, I've been kind of locked down for 6.5 years because I can't drive because I have vision issues still.
Okay.
So I kind of found what it's like to be alone and with your own thoughts and what it's like to be out of the matrix, shall we call it?
Yeah.
And well, I mean, for years I had these feeling like, why do I feel like a slave? Why do I have to ask to go and see my mom and they can say, no, you can't go, then it's not a good time? Why is my life not my own? Why am I killing myself to do all this? And so when I hit the brain injury and I was just here, a lot of I foster animals and there's some animals that were abused. A lot of these animals suddenly did a turnaround because I no longer had that human crap in my brain. I no longer had that stress and that racing. My brain became what it is supposed to be, which is about survival, about being, about creating, about connecting with nature and other living beings on the planet. So I found that the brain injury actually prepared me for what was coming. So when it came, I instantly knew what was happening. And although I was in shock, because, it's shocking to realize your whole life's been a lie and that there's such evil in the world. But when it came, I knew what was happening. I was horrified. Like everyone else, I kept hoping that everyone would stand up and it would be over. I think everyone was in shock, so nobody really... And how do you bond together and create a plan when the people against you already have it? It takes a while to get these things together, doesn't it?
Exactly.
So basically, I was sitting here feeling really, really like kind of lost and worried and afraid and angry because I couldn't go to my mom and my brother when they were in hospital. And I'll tell you what, when the truckers convoy, I thought I was dealing with things okay though. And then when I saw those trucks rolling down the road, I was sitting back there on that couch and I had my little thing and I was watching them roll down the road. I was watching the Canadians come out 40 below or 20 below, whatever. And that's us. That's Canadians. We're either tough or we're stupid to stay here for the winters. they can be hard.
Tough.
Especially if you're dealing with animals every day. But I watched them come out, and I sat there on that couch, and I cried and cried. I'll tell you what it felt like. When your foot goes to sleep and you don't realize it, and then it starts to wake up, and it's so painful. You can't walk. You can barely function. That's how my heart and my soul felt. Wow. I didn't realize how terribly affected I really was. And to see Canadians together and to know I wasn't a minority, I wasn't alone in how I felt. Good people. Canada is a beautiful place with the mountains and the seas and the prairies in between.
Yes.
But Canada is the people. It's the people. It's down home, hardworking, kind, rugged people. So to see that,
it's magical to sort of see so many like-minded people. Yeah, I felt like that when I started going on the big London marches that I've been on many of, and the first 3 or 4 were just mind-blowing, and I thought, like you were saying a minute ago, it's just so good to see so many like-minded people out there and that you weren't alone or nearly alone, and in fact there's so many people up and down the country thinking the same, and across the world, indeed.
I wanted to tell you about your London, the videos you did on the London marches and events that you went to.
Mm-hmm.
They were extremely helpful for us as well. And because England is where my family's from, like I have such a pull to it from my heart that it concerns me about what's happening over there as well. So brilliant to have found you and to be able to hear your news. We have a fella here called Shadow Davis that does a Canadian news thing every night. So it's kind of nice to tap into what he's talking about to find out what's happening in Canada. But
yes,
very nice to have you for a friend. And I'm so thrilled we're actually talking.
Yeah, so, I did very kind words. Thank you very much. And having friends like you as well, Linda, is really, really helpful for me. It's just so nice having like-minded people out there who we know think the same, really. Yeah.
I think that, to coin your phrase, the powers that shouldn't be really despise this kind of stuff where we connect, don't they?
They do. They really.
I mean, look what happened with the truckers' convoy. Oh, they hated it.
Oh,
I love that.
Trudeau hated it, didn't he? And that was extraordinary, wasn't it? He ran away, didn't he? He just disappeared for a few days, and then he reappeared.
That's what he does.
Yeah, and then he reappeared at that kind of ranch or whatever it was that looked like it was in the middle of nowhere, and came out with his speech of sort of a tiny fringe minority, which actually was.
And what I hated when you asked me how this whole thing affected me, I have to tell you, my heart went cold when I heard that.
Yeah.
That, you know what I'm going to call him. When I heard him say that we're a fringe minority, but also, what do we do with these people? Do we tolerate them? Where have we heard those words before?
Exactly, yeah.
I was getting ready to build a bunker or head into the bush, it wasn't to that point, but when you hear the head of your country talking about his people like that, and at the time I thought that there weren't many of us. Well, the whole convoy blew that thing that he was trying to do out of the water, didn't it?
It did.
And it's like the rats. The rats, when they get caught, they all scurry into their little holes and hide.
They do indeed.
I tell you, with my song.
Yes.
So I'm sitting there on the couch, and my heart was like a foot that had been asleep, and the pain. I just sat there and cried and cried and cried to see Canada was really still Canada.
Yes.
And so there was all that pain and all those tears, and then I was glued, and then I thought, oh no, I've got to go outside in the cold and see to my animals. So I put my hideous going outside clothes on, and I was all done up, and I was heading for the back door, and I started singing, freedom, oh, freedom. I was just like, freedom. And it was, my heart went from hurting to just like, yeah. I just felt so happy.
Fantastic.
And the next thing I know, I thought, oh my God, I'm writing a song, because they just sort of come through me sometimes. So in my tube, everything, I came to this desk right here and wrote it in 5 minutes. And then I thought, I got to record this right now and put it on my channels so that I can thank them, so they'll see it, so they know I thank them. So I ran into my room, and I put on a cowboy hat, some lipstick, and a sparkly top. But the bottom part of me was hideous sweats and boots. And, and I came and sat here, and I recorded my song, and I put it up, and I thought, there, okay, now I've done my bit. Maybe somebody will see it, and they'll know that this little person over here has come back to life because of them. So I went out, did my chores, and I was still singing the whole way.
Well, I certainly
and then that night,
yes.
Oh, I couldn't sleep that night because I turned on my channel,
Hmm.
And I mean, so the views kept going and going and going. It was like thousands. And then, of course, a while back, I lost my channel.
Don't know. Would this be a good time for you to pick up the guitar and play?
Would you like me to?
Oh yes.
I will.
Yeah, fantastic.
I just hope to have it right here.
I saw it in the background. So this is
and this is actually the guitar that the song was written on.
Ah, so, right, okay. So
I could have put a fancy one out, but I thought, no, you want the guitar it was written on.
Yeah, no,
it's my Fender.
Brilliant, brilliant. So this is the Canadian trucker protest song that Linda wrote more or less 2 years ago. So take it away, Linda.
All right. Let's hope I don't mess up. You see 18 wheels and a lot of heavy metal rolling down the highway today. It ain't just a trucker hauling goods to you. They're fighting for our freedoms today. Yeah, freedom, oh freedom, rolling down the highway today. Yeah, freedom, oh freedom, burning down the highway your way. No, our truckers won't stop till it's every day. Canadian truckers, Canadian truckers are leading the way. 2 small weeks to flatten the curve has turned into 2 years of hell. Silence and ignored and freedom's revoked in the name of keeping us well. Well, the doctors can't practice and the churches can't preach. The justice system long since fell. No, the world can't take another single minute, so our truckers are danging the bell. Yeah, freedom, oh freedom, rolling down the highway today. Yeah, freedom, oh freedom, burning down the highway your way. No, our truckers won't stop till it's every day. Canadian truckers, Canadian truckers are leading the way. Where, oh, where did our Canada go? And the rest of the whole world too. Well, Canadian truckers on their wings of rubber are sending this message to you. When you stand your ground and we stand with each other, there's nothing that we cannot do. And our country's not lost because it's built on us. We're Canadians, strong and true. Yeah, freedom, oh freedom, rolling down the highway today. Yeah, freedom, oh freedom, burning down the highway your way. No, our truckers won't stop till it's every day. Canadian truckers, Canadian truckers are leading the way. Oh freedom, rolling down the highway today. Yeah, freedom, oh freedom, burning down the highway your way. No, our truckers won't stop till it's every day. Canadian truckers, Canadian truckers, Canadian truckers are leading the way. Our Canadian truckers are leading the way. Canadian truckers are saving the day. Hey, hey. Our freedom.
Bravo! Oh, Linda, that was fantastic. So my own personal rendition there. Thank you very much. And I'm so glad that you didn't break up at all during that. So that was.
I was worried about that.
Yeah.
Especially if I broke up the top open.
No, I think it went all the way through, so that was fantastic. But I'll also when we finish this, I'll put the MP3 on the end, so it kind of plays out the talk as well with the Yes, we've listened to it twice basically in this video. So
I was going to tell you something about the recorded part of it that's kind of cool.
oh yes.
So we were in the studio. Now, I wanted to tell you about this too. I'm glad I thought of this. When I first wrote it, no studio would record it. No one. They wouldn't touch it.
Yeah. I wonder why.
Suddenly, now I wonder why, right?
Mm-hmm.
So finally, 2 years later, just this spring, I got someone to do it, but they insisted on remaining anonymous, which is why it's a bonus track on the CD, and it's credited to Linda Jean Country Music Productions, because they don't want to, even at this point in time, they do not want to be associated with it, which is strange because, I mean, it's a historical account of what happened. But yeah, I want to use my music and social media to put out good vibes, and I think that's what my part in all of this is, because I can't get out of here. I can't go to rallies. I can't, and in Canada it's tough because it's such a huge country. I mean, rallies, most of the ones I hear about are way, way far away.
Yeah.
So I just feel like in my little room here, I can put out some love and kindness and maybe help to raise the vibration. It would be so wonderful to connect in person. I mean, this is fantastic to talk to you, but to actually be able to connect in person. And for me, especially because I haven't been able to be with a big group of people that all feel the same way. So I'm on this Facebook group that, what's it called now? It's Businesses Without Mandates or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the height of the whole thing, when we couldn't go to restaurants or mingle with the other people.
Yeah.
Anyways, this Facebook group came about, and it was to get people going to support these businesses, but also for people who had been fired because they wouldn't partake in the experiment, and they were looking for jobs. So that's what that group was about. Well, I hadn't heard anything from them for a long time because obviously mandates aren't here right now. Now the push is on because cash, right? A lot of businesses are not taking cash, so now ignore those businesses and go to the ones that have cash is king on there. We have one of those here in our small town. They've got a big sign up by the till that says cash is preferred. So I go to them all the time. Yes.
Great stuff.
So anyway, yes, it's wonderful to see. So anyways, I got a notification from that group, and I hadn't heard from them for a long time. And what's happened is a bunch of RNs and medical people who obviously didn't take the experiment, they have created a kind of a holistic medical center in northern Alberta. And it's just opening up. So they were advertising for it. So it's going to be about, you go in and you talk to them about your issues, and instead of, here's a prescription, it's going to be, okay, what's your diet and what's your lifestyle? And it's going to be looking at the real reasons that you're not feeling well. Instead of, here's a Band-Aid, here's some drugs to patch over, it's going to get to the bottom of how you can be more healthful and stuff. So I've been looking forward to that for a long time.
Yes.
So it's really nice to see that kind of thing happening. And I hope all over the world, these medical people that actually know the real cause of our issues and really want to help people, I really hope all over the world that starts to happen, because I think that's one of that, and alternative schools are the baseline, I think, of what's going to help to turn things around for people. I love watching your video about, what town was it that stood up against the council when it came to the smart cities. So here, we're having a problem where they're trying to change all of our bylaws in counties to control our land. So there's a group called Thornhill. I can send you a link. They're north in Alberta, and this gal is a real go-getter. They've created their own formation of a council, of a county council.
Mm-hmm.
And so they figure out what they need in their group meeting, and then they go to the county meeting, and then they have a debate. They say, this is what we've come up with. So that's also good news to see that kind of thing happening as well. So like we're talking about, getting in on the ground level of health and education and creating an alternative for each of these very basic and necessary things.
Yes.
I think that's where
That's brilliant. That's kind of what Richard Vogues is going on about at the moment. Sort of shadow councils, he's calling them. So that sounds like that's happening in Alberta. Shadow council people who then go to the real council and say, well, like you just said, this is what we've come up with. Sort of, why not do that? So it's great. It's great to see that.
I just wish we could get it in every county, but like, was it one of your videos or was it it just starts with, everything starts with one place.
Yeah.
And then other places see that.
What do you make of the? She's fairly new, maybe about a year into the job now. The Premier of Alberta. Is she kind of on our side, or I can't remember her name.
Well, Danielle Smith.
Yeah, that's it, Danielle Smith. Yeah, is she kind of on our side or not?
Well, there's a group here in Alberta called Take Back Alberta.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've kind of gotten involved with them a little bit, as much as I can. And so I've been to a few things where we voted on different members of council and whatnot, and got our freedom people mostly in. So it's a big movement. I mean, you should have seen the group that was at this. They changed the location a number of times and the time a number of times for this meeting that I went to where we were to vote. And you should have seen the lineup of people to get into this small little legion. I mean,
wow.
one of the fellas that's a counselor or whatever it is, he looked very worried at the doorway. Anyway, so this group was instrumental in rounding people up to vote her in. But the thing I hear is that, I mean, no matter who they are, they're politicians and they're part of that group. They're part of that whole thing.
Yeah.
But the key is for the people to stay engaged and stand behind that politician and ensure that they know what it is we want and keep applying pressure to get what we want through them. So, I think the thing is people just have to get involved. I like the idea of a completely new system, but how do you go about that? A lot of people don't see it yet.
Yeah.
I would like to see, because, I support farmers out here. I'm trying not to buy things from our grocery store. I'm really, really being careful about what I'm buying, looking at the ingredients. And so I've been trying to support farmers and markets and whatnot for my own health. I would like to see an alternative to the current government system where we've got normal people. We've got an electrician, and we've got a farmer, a pilot, people from every health, schooling, have a normal person from every single important institution that we have, and have them be in charge of working on our behalf to do the right thing, to support the systems and the institutions that we need in the correct manner for the people. That's what I'd like to see, because I don't think the answer is this current system at all. But for now, this is what we have. And I think she's making some good changes. And I know that this group, Take Back Alberta, is watching her like a hawk. So
brilliant.
But I have a lot of relatives still that are like, oh, that darn Danielle Smith, she's ruining everything. We got to get her out of there. She's this. And I'm thinking, oh, Please wake
No,
up.
dear, yes,
Please
yeah,
wake up.
she's exactly what we need,
Oh,
and then some. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, in the height of the whole COVID thing, I've lost so many friends and an uncle. Oh, I shouldn't talk about that on here probably, but relatives. There's certain relatives that don't
No, no,
talk to
you
me
can
necessarily
feel
anymore.
free to talk about any of your experiences, your COVID experiences.
It's just, you know, I mean, Tim, I'm an animal rescuer. I rescue animals. I rescue insects out of my water trough every summer. I go around and I make sure no one's drowning and I rescue them. I mean, I couldn't kill a fly. And I just operate my life with love. And yet I've got all these friends and family members that won't talk to me anymore
Oh,
because I'm the devil.
yes,
Just
yeah.
because I saw it all going on, so on my Facebook page I would post things that I thought made sense. And it was like my brother said, my brother said, yeah, he said it's like you're seeing a house on fire and the people you love are inside and they don't see the flames and for them to get out of the house, but they don't see it. So yeah, I think I have over 1,000 Facebook friends or something, and it just kept dropping and dropping and dropping, and I was like, who's leaving me?
Oh
And
dear.
even now I find out some people that have gone that were friends for years and they're just gone. And and I hear some comments from people on their pages and I think, oh my gosh, who are you? You're not who I thought. However, because I'm all about good news and not just the bad news,
Yes.
the good news is I'm noticing, like, I was going to pack in Facebook because I know what it is, but yet, my brother said you should stay on it so that you can try and use it for good purposes. So I'm on it still. So the thing that I find really, really good these days is a lot of the people that I'm friends with never said anything. There was never a comment. A lot of them, you didn't know where they stood. There were some that were on the other side of the fence, and now they're starting to post things. They're starting to see things. They're starting to make comments.
Brilliant.
And it's really a really great feeling to see. This is like the convoy, but it's a slow roll.
Yeah.
We're slow rolling through the years here. And as each tire rotates, you're picking up a new one, and a new pebble in the tire.
Yeah.
So for me, that's really good news, is to see more and more people posting, about all the different things, about the
Very much
planes,
so. Yes.
the climate, So yeah, I mean, I'm out here. I'm from the city. I was born and raised in the city, but I've been out here for about 12 years with all my rescue animals and whatnot. And one thing that always struck me was I never heard a plane. I never saw a plane. And since the middle of April, it's constant and relentless. It's not just in the day. At night, I can sit in this house and I can hear them going over. It's, and then you get the people saying, oh, it's just a change in schedule. It's the contrails. And I'm like, no. I mean, I'm sitting here on this patch of earth, staring at the same patch of sky for 6.5 years since my injury. I don't go anywhere. I'm always out there looking at the same sky. And it's not been the same since the middle of April. I mean, is it not the most obvious thing in the world? I mean, until the big event,
yeah,
we just were happy and doing our thing, and
yeah.
And now it's been one thing after the other, after the other, after the other. I mean, can people not see the difference?
Exactly. Yes.
I just don't get it.
No. It's.
But in all fairness, it's not their fault. I mean, look at the money that has been spent to brainwash people. It's not their fault. I mean, it's
and there's very clever people behind it as well. Very, very clever people who, frankly, have been probably working on this stuff for years and years and years, and,
gosh.
and planning it.
I think it's been going on since before we were born.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I think so.
And then we were born into it.
Yeah, I think so. So, where are you with spiritual stuff, spirituality, and that kind of thing?
Well, it's funny because I was always kind of like my dad, like we weren't big into going to church or anything. My mom is into, going to church, but Dad and I always kind of felt really spiritual in nature.
Mm.
And I feel differently a little bit now. I'm seeing things that I didn't see before in this sense too. And so I am actually quite spiritual at the moment. And I pray every day now. I pray every day for everyone I love, but for the entire world, for all of us. I pray for all of us to be okay, and for all of us to have the power to get through each day with love and kindness and joy, count our blessings, and to try not to let what's going on ruin our own lives. The way to combat it is not to give them what they want.
Exactly.
And to enjoy every second. And, so, yeah. So that's where I am. I've woken up to the evil in the world, and I've woken up to spirituality. When I had the brain injury, it was the worst thing in the world. My world came crashing down, but so much more and better has built for me out of it. And it seems to be the same when the world started to crumble, so to speak. Look at everything that's risen up out of the ashes. It's like when a forest burns down, all the new life grows. And
Yes.
species of animals and birds and insects come that weren't there before because it was old and tired and it had to be reborn. And I think that's what's happening with our world right now. And I think it's what's happening with a lot of people like yourself. You're finding your real calling. And for me, I'm realizing that maybe I was given this gift of music to do something positive with it. So, and I see people all over the world that are doing that. And it's like what I said, a forest burns down, but look what grows out of it. The darkness. Yes. You cannot have darkness without light. And the light always shines through. The big freedom rallies, and I see how, I love Brits because there's a lot of Brits that don't put up with bullshit, really.
Yeah, well, like me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because here people are so nice, like we're so nice and we're so okay, and we're so spread out.
Mm.
I know there's a lot happening here too, but I love me a Brit that doesn't take any crap.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm mild compared to some of the people I meet. Some people are very fiery. So yeah. So yeah.
And I love the way that what I really love? I love the way government has sort of been held accountable on a number of occasions that I've witnessed from over here anyways, either by those, no, we're not taking your crap kind of people, or the British humor. Yes. I just love the way, if you can't beat them, laugh at them. The laughing at them. There was one instance. Oh, it was so funny.
Mm.
It was so funny. Was it Boris Johnson? I don't know. But the humor, when you can use humor instead of, cowering and just sort of not saying anything. Sometimes when you laugh at it, it goes away too, right?
Yeah, they hate humour, don't they? The powers that shouldn't be, because they don't know how to deal with it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't word it correctly. I don't quite know how to put my point out, but yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the humor, they hate it.
Yeah.
And the humor in itself is a way of saying, no, we just think you're ridiculous. And it seems to really be effective.
But have you heard of a guy called Bob Moran?
I don't think so.
Cartoonist. He's a cartoonist. He worked for one of the big newspapers here. I can't remember if it was the Times or the Telegraph or something like that. But then he started doing cartoons because he's on our side, and he started doing a few cartoons which they didn't like. So he was kind of fired from his job. But he's been carrying on with his cartoons, and he produces some fantastic work. It's really, really great, very humorous, and although some of them are quite serious as well, they've got a serious point to them. But no, I love humour.
Yeah, that's like what we were talking about, how everybody seems to be finding out what their part of this is. You know?
Yes.
Like, cartoonist, and he's using it to get messages across with humor, or the serious messages too. But I mean, that's brilliant.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, did you know about? I just heard about something that was happening here last night. I was watching the Shadow Davis show, and apparently, what did it say? You can't quote me on this because my brain's. I had a bit of a rough night last night.
Okay.
But there's been some sort of a hate speech, hate posters being put up in colleges and schools and universities. You know, and it just says it's okay to be a white person, something to that effect. It's okay to be a white man, or it's okay to be white. It's not even like it's great to be white. It's okay, but it's hate. Come on. But the beautiful thing, they're showing up all over the places in campuses, like not just one. People are putting them up, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah, no, I like it. That's fantastic. And I made the video the other day about the Calgary pizza restaurant owner who got let off his thing. Well, what's that restaurant called? It was called Without Papers or something.
Without Papers.
Was that called? Did he change the name of that just for all the COVID nonsense, or was it called that before?
Don't quote me, but I think he changed it during the COVID nonsense.
Yeah, it makes. And
it seems to me. I saw a few videos where Artur Pawlowski, the preacher or minister that has been in jail and all of that stuff. Seems to me he brought people there, and they were feeding, when they got shut down, they had all these pizzas, so they were actually feeding homeless people and people that needed food outside. I mean, these are good people.
Yeah. Brilliant.
It's like the whole world has just turned on its head, and it's like the good people are evil, and criminals can be let out of jail to go and create their crimes, and let's throw the ministers and the pizza owners into jail.
Yes.
I mean, we still have those four guys from Coots are still in jail. I mean, it's 2 years later almost, and they're still in jail.
Unbelievable.
They're political prisoners.
They are.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, for just for organising a perfect, peaceful and legal protest, and they're in jail. So that leaves no doubt in my mind that it is tyranny, and they are political prisoners, like you say, Linda. Yeah, it's unbelievable, isn't it? And
it's just, it's great. It's great that we're having these wins, like the pizza guy getting off and things like that. But I don't know, like, I'm just so frustrated because it's like, come on. I mean, I want the perpetrators to be punished, and I want it to happen now.
Yeah.
I can't wait any longer.
Yeah, I know. It's frustrating, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, I know these things take time, and because we're all going through the proper systems and channels and all that stuff. But in my mind, it's like, well, wait a second. The powers that shouldn't be,
Yeah.
they're not going through the proper channels. Why should we?
Yes. Yeah.
But I cannot. I mean, I'm one of millions, I think, Canadians that cannot stand the sight or the sound of our own prime minister. I mean, literally, it makes me feel physically ill.
I can't.
It's a horrible thing.
I can't stand the sight of him. So, and I don't even live on the same continent as the guy. So, what it must be like for you, and having him as your prime minister, so-called prime minister. Oh dear, yeah.
Oh, you know, and then it's like, oh, people around the world, they're finding Canada to be this and that. It's like, no, it's not. They're not finding Canada to be that. They're finding him to be that. He doesn't represent us. He always, as Canadians, this and we Canadian. It's like, no, you're not one of us.
No.
You're not Canadian. Yeah, and it's. I think it's just taking a bit longer here because, I mean, it's such a vast country.
Yeah.
And there's so much farmland in between, and you know, it's massive. So you're right, though. I mean, there's. I'm kind of being funny, but not. Take me home, anyways. But there is a lot happening here. There's a lot of good things happening here.
Yeah.
About the ridiculous stuff in schools. There's been a lot of really good rallies and things. The Muslim community. Is it down? It's further east. Is it Halifax? I can't remember where it was, but boy, they really stood up against Trudeau and you know, the things that are happening in the education system. And I think it was that one gentleman that started these marches too. So there's been a lot of marches about the children.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot happening. It's just so spread out that, you know, it's hard to keep track of it all.
Yeah. There's, but there must be a lot of things happening there. There's a lot of things happening here, and I can't cover half of it.
You know, if a person like me gets a bit frustrated because they have no patience and they want it all to be resolved now, all we have to do is we have to just stop and think, where were we 2 years ago?
Exactly. Yes.
And then you look at what's happening now, and you look at the numbers of people coming together, and it's like, okay, it's, you know, really, they haven't got us fooled anymore, do they? No.
This time 2 years ago, exactly 2 years ago, the whole Omicron thing was kicking off, wasn't it? It was sort of late November they started going on about it, and then literally about 5 days.
And wasn't it monkeypox?
Yeah, I think they managed to get some traction with people still obeying things with Omicron, but monkeypox was a few months later, and by the time it got there, people were sort of saying, "Oh, I don't need to have monkeypox because I've had my 3 bananas." You know, because at that stage it was sort of 3 of those. So yeah, I've had my 3 bananas, and as soon as I saw that, I knew no, they're not going to get anywhere with monkeypox. And then they keep.
You know what?
Yeah.
Remember when I was stumbling over my example of the humor with the British humor that actually stopped something? This is what it was. It was monkeypox. And I saw some people by Downing Street there doing some song about it and different things about the 3 bananas. And I mean, I was laughing so hard, and then it went away.
Yeah.
So I think that was my example I was looking for.
Yes, that's right. But they keep trying to kickstart it all again, don't they? Saying, oh yeah, there might be another variant coming along, but they're just trying half-heartedly for a few days, and then it goes away, and because they know
they're testing the waters.
Yeah, but they're not getting any. Everybody's going, yeah, go away. You know, we've had enough of this stuff now. So, isn't it? So, yeah.
You know what I'm noticing a lot, that disturbs me is instead of like at our local pharmacies or God, I hate going to Walmart, but every now and again I have to because there's not much in this area. But you know, oh, last night I was there, and you heard an announcement over the big speaker saying, "Get your shot at our pharmacy now. Don't delay." And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? We're still doing that? But anyways, I digress. What I was trying to say was, I'm noticing that the signs for your shot for that are being replaced by get your flu shot, and with the same intensity. So that leads me to wonder what's going on with shot now.
Yeah.
Get some sunlight, go for a walk, meet with friends to keep your mental state up, and you know, explore your spirituality, keep your faith, and do all the good things for yourself, you know, that you can do to keep yourself in the best possible place.
Yeah.
Makes sense, doesn't it? Oh, wait, we don't want to make sense, though, do we?
No, very, very true, very true. Yeah, I'll tell you what. I took vitamin D tablets, but then they ran out, and then I've got these new vitamin D tablets which I've started taking probably at the start of this month. And normally November, as I've probably said in some of my videos, November is my least favourite month. I just sort of normally I'm sort of grumpy and depressed and everything. But these vitamin D tablets I'm taking have kind of just made me feel quite cheerful. Because it's like you're getting a lot of sunshine, isn't it? If you're having vitamin D, and you know how happy you are when the sun's shining, and I feel like that.
Why do you think that they're trying to cover up the sun with their contrails? I found out the name of a natural B12, and I also found a pharmacy in Calgary that, what's it called? They spin it, or what's it called? They actually make it compounding.
Right, okay.
So they make it there. So I've had one dose of it so far. I'm due pretty quick here, and let me tell you, I thought all of my lack of energy and exhaustion and weakness was from the brain injury. Yeah. No, because now I know when my brain is tired, but my body, I can keep going. I can do all these chores, and I mean, so you just wonder, don't you? Like
you do, yes.
And then I heard that our wonderful PM wants to ban supplements and vitamins here. I mean,
yeah, I know the EU were talking about that a few years ago as well. When we were still in the EU, and they were sort of talking about banning vitamins and supplements. And I thought, why? What's that all about? At the time, this is a good few years ago before the nonsense started, and I thought, why would you want to ban supplements? Because they're good, aren't they? And then only now do I realise that they don't want you taking stuff that's actually good for you.
No, nothing good, only bad now. This is the bad world.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the world you want.
Yes.
I mean, who would want a world like that? Really. But see, these are the things we need, right? We need to have medical departments that are about building you up from the ground up. I mean, I've been banned from making comments on Rumble or YouTube for a day twice.
Yeah,
and I had people
mad, isn't it?
I had a couple of other channel people from England email me and say that they'd had the same problem. And these are people that just spread love and kindness, so it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, no. Yeah, they don't want people sort of spreading the higher vibrational states, do they? They just want us all in depression and despair and that kind of thing. Fear. Fear is the worst one, isn't it? They don't want us being happy and loving and everything, do they?
No, they don't. They don't want anything good. And I was thinking, for the longest time, I was saying, well, why is it that some of us can see all this and why is it some of us can't? And I heard one person talking about this particular topic.
Mm.
And it seems that people that are really connected with nature, or people that have had abusers in their life, or people that just have never felt good with authority, like
me,
people that are their own,
yeah.
and creative people. So I think those are the four kind of people that seem to be the ones that are awake, and it makes sense, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does really. I've asked the question so many times. Yeah, why? What makes us different? You know, why can we see it? And it's really obvious to us as well, isn't it? It's like how can you not see it? Really, but if
you think about it too, like if you've ever watched what's it called? A Hypnotist. You know, those funny shows where they hypnotize people and make them do funny things.
Oh yeah.
There's always somebody that can't be hypnotized.
Yeah.
And I've always thought, I think it's because that person that they can't hypnotize doesn't buy into it, doesn't believe it. Whereas the other people are sort of like accepting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They sort of, and I think there's a part of their brain that actually just goes with the flow sort of thing. I don't know, but there's always one that they can't do it to.
Yeah, that
seems to be there's millions of us, isn't there?
There is. There's and I think our numbers are growing by the day as well. So
lovely to talk with you in person.
And you too, Linda. And also, it's nice to sit back and let someone else do the talking, because you've heard me talk enough, haven't you? So it's been nice to hear you talk and to listen to you.
Get tired of me talking. I talk a little too much.
No, I like it.
It's a delight to listen to other people talk, especially about these kinds of things, because you for me, I sit here alone. This is why I talk so much, because I don't see people very often. But I sit here alone and I listen to what people have to say, and it'd be so nice to actually sit in a room and actually hear people talking about it that are on our side. But you have your own ideas and your own thoughts, but where the joy is when you hear somebody else with something new that makes you feel even more positive about what's happening.
Yeah.
Or somebody that totally agrees with you and has come up with the same ideas that you have, so that you think, okay, I'm on the right track.
Yes, yeah. Is there
all of us all live each other? We need each other, and that's why they've tried to divide us. Is because the most important thing is that we're all connected, and we all know that we are all one. I mean, it doesn't matter where we're from, what our religion is, what the color of our skin is, although they've put that wedge onto us time and time again throughout the years.
Yeah.
None of that matters. We're all people trying to do our best, and the more they try to separate us, the more we need to come together, and that will drive them nuts.
Yeah. And we need to do that, don't we? Just keep driving them nuts. So that is
like use this technology that is here to mess with us, use it for good and connect like this.
No, but it's been absolutely great talking to you, Linda. And
you too.
And thanks for the singing the song. And when I get this up online, I'll play out with your MP3 as well, so people can sort of hear your song again.
I'll look forward to talking to you again. This has just been absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, it's been lovely talking to you, Linda. Thank you very much, and take care.
You see 18 wheels and a lot of heavy metal rolling down the highway today. It ain't just a trucker hauling goods to you, fighting for our freedom today. Yeah, freedom, oh freedom, rolling down the highway today. Yeah, freedom, oh freedom, burning down the highway. truckers won't stop till they save the day. Canadian truckers, Canadian truckers are leading the way. Small weeds that flatten the curve has turned into 2 years of hell. Sign is antidote and freedom's revolt in the name of keeping us well. Well, the doctors can't practice and the churches can't preach. The justice system's long since fell. No, the world can't take another single minute, so our truckers aren't danging the bell. Yeah, freedom, oh freedom, rolling down the highway today. Yeah, freedom, oh freedom, burning down the highway your way. No, our truckers won't stop till they save the day. Canadian truckers, Canadian truckers are leading the way. The rest of the whole world too. Well, Canadian truckers on their wings of rubber are bringing this message to you. When you stand your ground and we stand with each other, there's nothing that we cannot do. And our country's not lost because it's built on us. We're Canadians, strong and true. Yeah, freedom, oh freedom, rolling down the highway today. Yeah, freedom, oh freedom, burning down the highway your way. No, our truckers won't stop till they save the day. Canadian truckers, Canadian truckers are leading the way. Oh freedom, oh freedom, rolling down the highway today. Yeah, freedom, oh freedom, burning down the highway your way. No, our truckers won't stop till they save the day. Canadian truckers, Canadian truckers, Canadian truckers are leading the way. Canadian truckers are leading the way. Our Canadian truckers are saving the day.